I'm Polly. I am a Kenyan-born photographer and journalist that's residing in the States. We moved to the States when I was about 4 years old, Kansas to be exact. So I grew up in Kansas. And that's all I knew up until my freshman year of high school. After my freshman year of high school, my dad's job relocated to Oregon. And so that's when myself, my brother, and my dad we moved to Oregon. First was Tualatin, Oregon. Um, so I went to Tualatin High School. It's like It's like a suburb or whatever you want to call it in Portland, Oregon. So I did my sophomore year of high school there, and it was such a hard move for me. I was dealing with just a lot of emotions. It was just a culture shock because, again, I was a young teen and all I knew was Kansas. And Oregon, for those who don't know, is a very white state. It's a predominantly white state. It has a racist past, which, that's why it's no surprise that it is a very white state up to this day. And so for me, it was just really, again, like a weird experience because all I knew was Kansas. And then here I am in Oregon. I just, new state, new school. And so it was hard transition for me. I actually was in a depression for a period of time, and I didn't realize that until, you know, counselors and whatnot told me that because just, my African household, we don't really talk about that. We don't talk about mental health and things like that of that nature. And so for me, I just didn't recognize like that I wasn't doing well. And so the following year, my mom got a job in Eugene, Oregon. And so she finally joined us in Oregon the next year. And so I joined her in Eugene. And so now this is my third high school. And Eugene is about 2 hours away from Portland. And it's, still a very white town, very white city and stay in school. But it was much easier to transition because at that time it's like, okay, it's my second year in Oregon. I kind of have, something what to expect. I kind of know what to expect now. And then it was just more diversity in a sense at that school. And so for me, that was a much easier transition. And so my counselors there still saw that I was like, struggling a bit to adjust and, understand everything that's going on. And so they suggested I get involved in the school, pick up an activity, whatever the case may be. And so for me, that was yearbook. That's the first time I actually picked up a camera. That's what really helped me transition and to cope with everything that I was feeling and everything that was going on. And then that also just made me appreciate the state more because I was, just walking around with my camera. I was getting to know people with my camera. I was really trying to then, make the best of my situation. I didn't like my situation, but I was trying to make the best of it. And so from there, I stayed in state for university. So I did my undergrad in college at the University of Oregon because I received a scholarship. And I was like the go-to photographer for campus. I was like probably the only Black photographer that most people knew at that time because, again, I went to, predominantly white school because it was a predominantly white state. And I didn't know any of the Black photographers or Black women photographers. And so for me, that, I said all this to give you all some context of, why I launched Black women photographers, because as someone who just didn't know, someone who was trying to find that community and find that representation, because of my experience, I didn't have that. And so for me, I think that's why it's so important to have these spaces, even have a conference like this, a festival like this, because we can all have a safe space to, talk, have that community that we didn't have, or maybe we had and was still, there's still some pieces that needed to be, glued together kind of thing. And for me, I just saw a problem and I was tired of complaining. I wanted to try and provide a solution along with my friends and peers who are also doing the same. And so for me, like the solution for what I was wanting is the platform Black Women Photographers. So that's why I did that. And I'm very excited to see more people coming in. Hi, everyone. Feel free to turn on your cameras. I want to make this as conversational as possible. Along the way, if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. I just gave a little bit background about who I am. And I want to share my screen and show you all the platform and talk more about it. So let me do that. Oh my gosh, I have a million tabs open. Which tab did I have? Just trying to find my tab. There it is. All right, can everyone see this okay? So this right here is the launching pad for blackwomenphotographers.com. It might not show it now because I was just on the site, but if you are new to the site, you'll automatically get a pop-up that says like subscribe to the newsletter. It might not show because I just like checked out the site, so it probably won't show because I am not a new user. But if you are a new user, you'll get a pop-up that says, hi, subscribe to our monthly newsletter. And that is just something that you can subscribe to and stay up to date about all things Black women photographers and see work from Black women photographers and non-binary photographers every month in your inbox. So the landing page, I try to change it up monthly because I want to try and give everyone, that fair shake. Because yes, here I am in the States, but this is a global database, right? And so for me, it's like I'm not just thinking, okay, what opportunities are in the U.S. For Black women? How can I, spread those opportunities and find opportunities for those who may be in the continent of Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that's also just partially because of my immigrant background. So it's not just US focused, it is a global focused and minded platform. And so when you log in, like I said, I try to change this every month. So this is currently on the Europe page. That's the homepage. You'll see Elsie, who's actually a Kenyan woman who resides in London. She's an incredible photographer, sports, portraits, documentary, that is her niche. And you'll see everyone has a photo to represent themselves. You'll see that people have their website, and if they don't have their website, then they'll have like their Instagram or just some kind of portfolio link for editors, whoever can get in touch and contact them to hire them. And then another thing that I try to do to make it a little fun is have a fun fact. So her fun fact is I have a tongue piercing and a Taurus tattoo. Again, that's just to like get people to realize that we're more than photographers, we're human, and just to find that like common ground, and maybe they'll remember that fun fact and think of Elsie and then reach out to her, that kind of thing. It's just, something fun. And so you'll just, scroll and scroll and scroll and see all the beautiful work from everyone, wherever they are based. It's really a great opportunity for those outside of the people who are like, have the positions to hire us. Really just, if you want to find more great talent, find more folks to follow, like Whitley in Belgium, Europe. Like how many Black women photographers do you know in Belgium, Europe? I didn't know any until Whitley reached out to be included into the database, right? So it's just a great way to just appreciate great work, find more folks to follow, have more, beautiful work in your feed. Again, if you're in a position to hire, then of course, find a way to hire local talent is key. And so, that's why part of this is why I created it, because I was often hearing the excuses of, we just can't find any talent. We just can't find any Black women photographers. And for myself, it's like, that's not true, right? Like I was able to, if I'm here and I have a full-time job outside of this, I work a 9 to 5, I work in news. If I'm able to, build this platform on top of my work duties, on top of everything else that I have going on, and it's not even my job as an editor to find new people to work with, if I'm able to do this, then, there's really no excuse, right? And that's for me, I'm just trying to provide another solution, another, platform for those excuses cannot reside anymore, that people don't have no reason to have those excuses. There's so many talented people everywhere. A lot of this in Europe is London focused. And you can then, okay, I'm done with, Europe, you can keep scrolling. Maybe I want to go to Asia, see who's in Asia, right? This woman, she's in Osaka, Japan. I'm like, I didn't know any Black women photographers in Japan until she reached out. If you're tired of, international, you can go to the US base and see people in the West region, Maya in LA, Bay Area, et cetera, et cetera. If you go to Southwest, again, this is the Southwest region of the US, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona. Again, like the point is that there's people everywhere in every corner of this world. And though so there's really no excuse. Chicago, Detroit, Michigan, Cincinnati, Ohio, Chicago again. And so for me, I'm really trying to be keen on finding people in all aspects, because like I grew up in Kansas where people probably don't think of photographers or Black women photographers. And then I moved to Oregon, another place where people don't think photography and don't think that Black women photographers reside there. But that's not the case, because there are people there. Even now, I'm coming to you live from Oklahoma, my mom's place. And now I know 2 photographers in Oklahoma that are Black women, one in Tulsa, and then myself and somebody else here in Norman, Oklahoma City area. And again, more people probably don't think that Black women photographers are in Oklahoma or Oregon or Tulsa or just any other places I mentioned. Jessica in Florida, Veronica in Tallahassee. And if you don't want to scroll, Tierra in Little Rock, Arkansas, I'm just trying to emphasize the point that we are in other cities, in the big cities that you may think of, like the New Yorks and the LAs of the world. There are a lot of people in those corners in this community, but again, we are everywhere. And so I'm just trying to showcase that. And we all do different things. So Kay Murray in South Carolina does lifestyle and commercial, while Sydney in Montgomery, Alabama does commercial, celebrity, beauty, and portraits. So we're not a monolith, and we have all different talents. And one thing I also like to point out is, instead of just scrolling, you can use the search function, and you can search, okay, I want to see more fashion photographers on my radar. So you can search fashion, and it will pop up a bunch of different names, people you can check out who have fashion listed as one of their specialties. I have editor section with that. People who are editors or in position to hire can reach out and see the content behind this. And basically it's an Airtable spreadsheet of just, again, the names, but without the photos, and have more private information listed for those who opted in to share their information with editors. So it's like their email, their phone number, if they speak any languages, if they have any like safety training, HEFAT training, all of that would be listed for editors to see, along with their specialties. So it's just a quicker way for editors to be in touch and to hire. Here, I also change this often. I change like the announcement bar often. So this Thursday, December 3rd, I have an event titled A Night with Black Women Photographers who are camera ambassadors. And I'm very excited about this because it goes back to what I was saying before. I didn't know anyone, and I didn't have, I didn't know there was Black women camera ambassadors. I didn't see that. And so for me now, I know more than 3, which is incredible. I'm very excited to host 3 of them, who are all great friends, on December 3rd. They are Sony, Nikon, and Canon USA ambassadors, and they are Black women, and they are industry leaders. And for me to host this is just, again, a way for people in the community to have that representation, to see that, okay, if these women can make it, then okay, I can make it as well. That this is an achievable, attainable goal for me. I can make it to whatever the top may look like in my field. And this is, just one level, one benchmark of that. So I'm very excited about that. I've been hosting other conversations in partnership with Adobe Lightroom, with other photographers that, the Black women photographers community look up to. And so these are some of the past conversations. For example, Kennedy Carter, she's based in North Carolina, and she was one of our past guests in October. And you may know her name now because she just photographed the 3 covers of British Vogue of Beyonce, at the youngest age to do it, at age 21. And before that, she came and spoke to our community. So it's just, again, a great way for these women to see, okay, I can make it regardless of my location, regardless of my age. I can do this. For her to photograph someone like Beyonce at 21, it's just it's just incredible achievement, right? And most people, think, okay, I'm too young to do this, or, oh, because I'm based here, I wouldn't be able to do this. But here she goes, and is able to do that. And so again, it's just to show that, we can do this, and we can have every right to be in this space, and we can make it, and whatever that looks like to you. Other events I've been hosting is just like, workshops that help the photographers with their professional development. So for example, with the IWMF and Alexia Grants, I hosted a grant writing 101 conversation, because right now is the season to apply for grants. There's a lot of money out there. And, as photographers, as creatives, we're often just so focused on actually creating, but we're not working smart in a sense that, okay, let's get those creative projects funded. We don't always have to pay for everything. It doesn't always have to come from our pocket. Let us get that money that's out there, but how do we do that, right? So I hosted that for folks can just have that sense of, okay, there are grants out there, and there's money to get, but not feel so overwhelmed about the process and, how do I even start? How do I write a proposal? How do I put my idea onto paper? And so for me, that's, one of the workshops that I've done. And I'm actually hosting another grant session today. A couple hours from now after this, I'm hosting one with this photographer named Leslie Andrews, and she's based in Atlanta. And she has a studio there. She's, been in the game for a while. And during this pandemic alone, she's received over $80,000 in grant money. And so we're going to be talking about how she got that done, and, again, how to successfully apply for grants and what that looks like, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm very excited about that. Here it's just like, again, where I post other opportunities. So event recaps, just the recordings from our events, jobs and grants. This page, I used to update it often, but now I've just find myself just sharing opportunities on social, on Twitter and Instagram, and also on our private Slack group. And then organizations, again, I'm not the only platform who is dedicated to, change this industry. And so I list other organizations that I love and admire and respect in the organizations tab, for people can also, find those spaces in there. And yeah, and then the contact and press, and again, you can, search, you can check it out. You can really just have fun with it. And that is really much it for me about that platform. I see some comments. Let me look at the chat real quick. Yeah, so do I have a forum, or otherwise photographers can communicate together and discuss different topics? Yes. So I have a private Slack group. Slack is just one of those conversational spaces. You can chat, or people use it for work, employers use it, whatever. It's just a way to communicate. I found that to be most helpful during this time, because I still send a lot of emails, because I was going to say I used to send a lot of emails. I still send a lot of emails, but I find people often miss those emails. I often miss emails in my inbox. And so for me, Slack has been a great way to communicate. Twitter, Instagram, other ways to communicate. I also have a Facebook, but don't often post things there. But I just found like Slack for this group has worked the best. How often do editors reach out to the photographers? Is it working as the way I wanted it to? I'm actually very surprised how it's working. So I launched the community, the database on July 7th. I did a soft launch on my birthday. Prior to that, I kicked it off with a GoFundMe. So I did a COVID-19 relief fund for Black women photographers who have been hit hard by the pandemic, and provide a small relief to them. Because again, I had a lot of conversations with these photographers. So before I even launched this platform, I was asking, what would a community look like to you? What can a community support you? How can a community support you? When's the last time you've been hired? And I was just asking those kind of questions to different people that I have been following and admiring, to really just, be very thoughtful and intentional with this. So the COVID-19 Relief Fund was the first way, where my goal was only 7,000, but then I ended up raising over 14,000, which was incredible. And I was able to help many more folks because of that. And then, with the database, it's really been working like word of mouth, right? Like I don't have a budget, I don't have marketing and money to, put something, a huge campaign or whatever together. When folks are contacting me in Asia, and I just had this woman in Australia contact me, and I'm like, I don't know anyone in Australia. I don't even know how she learned about it. But I think that's just the beauty of social media and just word of mouth, because again, I don't know anyone in all these places prior to this, like Caribbeans. I've never even been to the Caribbean, but then Danielle in Jamaica reached out and wanted to be included in part of this community. Jalisa in Barbados, she reached out and wanted to be in this community, and it's like, I didn't know these women beforehand. I've never been to these places. But with that, it's like working organically, and it's just such a genuine community. I've been seeing people reach out, and in terms of the editors, I've seen them reach out. I try to make sure that, it's direct communication, so editors can directly contact the photographers. I don't want to act as a middleman or as an agency or anything like that. I really want them to contact the photographers directly. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes they ask me to put together a short list or whatever. And I do that. I help, editors, brands, and do that. Like recently, I was able to help Red Bull. I put together a list for Red Bull because they were wanting to hire a photographer for one of the events they were sponsoring in Atlanta. So I put together like a few names, and then from there, they selected and hired 2 people. So sometimes it acts like that. But oftentimes those who are in position to hire, whether it's an editor, whether it's a brand, whether it's whatever it may be, they contact the photographers directly. So I just get like feedback from photographers. They tell me, oh my God, Polly, I just had my first like inquiry from the database. Like someone just reached out because they said they found me through the database. Or Polly, I'm shooting this assignment because of the database. So that's when I hear that it's working. And that just like makes my day. That just like, solidifies like, okay, this, just affirms like what I'm doing is working, it's helping, that I'm making a difference, whatever small difference that may be, I'm actually making one. Even like better than that, I've been lately, because like I said, it's been grant season. And a lot of the photographers in the community are seeing grants posted within our Slack group, within our private chat, and they're applying to them. And before this, a lot of them didn't have the confidence to take advantage of these opportunities. They were afraid to XYZ, or they just didn't know how. But they've been telling me that they've had the confidence to apply, and now photographers are receiving grants, grant money, getting new equipment from these opportunities, and that just even, it's just like more than I could imagine. Like I didn't know what this could look like, 6 months later, but now I'm just like, oh my goodness, it can only do so much. And I'm excited to see where it can go, because again, this is only a few months old, and if it's already like making a difference in these small ways, I'm just very excited about what the future may hold for this community and for, just moving forward. I see something in the chat. I'm gonna take a look. Oh, hey, Joanna, actually, thank you so much. Someone asked, what is the contribution white women photographers can offer to support? So for me, again, like, what I've been doing is just like really just utilizing social media, utilizing just, again, just the women in the community, just spreading the word organically. So if you have a platform, invite me to it, if I can share the word like this, like that right now, that's what's happening. Like I've been invited to share the word about this, and now you all know about it. And that's more people that didn't know about it yesterday, right? And so for that, it's just a way to continue to the momentum, to continue to spread the word organically. If you have a social media platform, you can tweet it out, you can post about it. If you love someone's work, post it and share it and tag them and say, oh my gosh, like I just discovered a new photographer in the Caribbean or wherever they may be. And, just share the work, share the message. Really, it does take all of us to do the work. And so for me, support can just look like that. Support can look like you have a newsletter. If you have, a place where you work that they may hire photographers. If you have friends and family, right now it's the holidays. And I've been sharing, I woke up at like 4 a.m. yesterday to start tweeting out links to people who had print stores within the community. So all these photographers that have an online shop and they're selling prints during the holidays. I woke up at 4 a.m. and started tweeting those out from the account because I wanted to try and boost traffic. I wanted to help and get them some sales during this holiday season. Buy a print if you can afford to do so. Share with friends and family who are thinking of buying, whatever gifts during the holiday season. That's another way to support. It takes each of us day by day. One of the photographers, for example, she shared the database to her employers. She works as a production assistant at West Elm. And then we set up a mini mentorship program for photographers who are interested in taking that route. And so now, because she shared the word, we now have a mini, pipeline going on within a company that we didn't ever have before. More opportunities were created just by, genuinely spreading the word. And so that's ways to support. I do have like on the welcome page, it's just like a little blurb about, the community, about, a little bit why I started it. The team page, I don't have a team page yet because it's just me. So I just did me as the founder. But I have like a little donate button. So if you're able to support financially, you can. Because again, this has just like been my labor of love. So I don't have a budget to keep this going, like to pay for everything I've been paying for, just like the admin costs. So if you're able to do that, you can. Just do that and direct you to PayPal. Here I have all the social platforms. So again, following a page online is free. Like following the Instagram account is free. You can, support by following, asking friends and family to follow. You can support by, again, following the Twitter. That's also a free way to support. Spreading the word, saying, okay, have you checked out this account? Oh, this account is retweeting prints that people are selling. Hannah, like for example, she's in North Carolina. She's a student photojournalist. She's incredible. And she's selling 40 plus prints from all over the world. You can retweet that and spread the word, or you can buy a print from her print store. That is a one way to support. Like look at her beautiful work. She's a student photojournalist and she's, doing great work in her undergrad, despite everything that's going on. And so you can purchase. That's a way to support. Indirectly, you're supporting someone else in the community. And so, you're supporting just the reason why I'm doing this. And so all of those are just one ways to support. Let me look at the chat. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. See, that's beautiful. And really, again, I'm just so excited to, have this opportunity and, been given this platform to talk about it. That by me is just, the hugest way of support as possible. And so I'm very excited to be here. Thank you. And so I don't know if anyone else has questions. I can talk a lot. So again, if I need to clarify anything or whatever, let me know. Feel free to ask away.
It would help to have my microphone on. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Does anybody have more questions? I have a question. I don't know if it's a little controversial or not, but have you been working with the Women Photograph platform, or were you inspired by them, or how?
Oh, it's not controversial.
Like?
No,
Okay,
not at all. Because I actually again, when I was like in Oregon, and I was trying to find that community, Women Photograph was one of the first that I actually saw ever. So I've been following that community, I think like since 2017. And they have been so amazing. Like, Daniela and her team have like supported the Black Women Photographers platform. They've been sharing the word. They included me in like the newsletters. They've donated financially. And, for me, it's because we're all in this together. She started out, I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but just, what I'm assuming is, she started out because she saw a problem and she wanted to fix it and provide a solution. Because in this white male dominated industry, women, period, have not been given the same opportunities at all across the board. And so what she has done is just like incredible. Definitely can say I've been inspired, still inspired. Like, I don't know how she does it all, but she does. And it's incredible to witness. And because, like, again, we all have the same goal, right? With that said, if you like, for example, with her team, they do like monthly, I think it's monthly or quarterly like data breakdowns of just like organizations and outlets, media outlets who, and their hiring practices, right? And I'm just like, imagine, I mean, let me actually just show you all. I think she did ones recently.
It's very
Like,
depressing. I know what you're talking about.
you know what I'm talking about? It's
Yeah.
very depressing. Like, let me show you all. Like, I think it was like the latest one was maybe a few weeks ago. She's also sharing print sales. It's somewhere in here, and it's basically like, okay, the New York Times has hired, you see, look, she retweeted. The New York Times has hired maybe like 13%, or X, Y, and Z has hired 10%, you know, and it's just like, it's very depressing. And that's like them keeping track and holding these spaces accountable in their hiring practices of women. And I'm like, okay, if 10% of women from this organization was, you know, imagine the numbers for Black women, imagine the numbers for, you know, other groups. Like, I can only imagine like those percentages get smaller and smaller if you were to break it down by race and demographics like that. And so what she's doing is very necessary. And really, again, it's because there's such a need for this to, you know, for this industry to actually like consciously make the effort to hire. Here it is, this week in pictures breakdown. So 30%, 25%, 16%, 8 images, 0%. You know, like that is so depressing. And then for to break it down more, how many of those were Black women? You know, probably even smaller. So for me, I just find it that all of us can coexist. All of us can, you know, again, try and do the work that we shouldn't have to do, right? This labor shouldn't fall on Women Photographs team. My platform, that labor shouldn't fall on myself. You know, like it takes a long time to put together anything, right? And to, you know, manually do this. All of these folks do this on a volunteer basis. It's really just a labor of love because we, you know, for whatever reason, we want to be in this industry, right? And we want to leave it better than where, you know, we found it. And so it takes a lot of, for myself, you know, to put this together. It took me, you know, I think a few months. And then when I'm updating, like if I'm updating Africa section, I'm often trying to like, you know, check to see if anyone has any broken links, if everyone's website is working correctly, because oftentimes people change their URL or whatever the case may be. If they change their Instagram handle and then it, you know, it's still, and then you click on it and it's just like user not found because they changed it and forgot to like update on their site or didn't tell me. You know, I don't want there to be any broken links or any issues when editors or whoever come on the site. And so like doing that alone takes me a few hours. So really, you know, I say that to say like, you know, we're doing this because we want this industry to be better. I don't want it to be harder for the younger, I don't know, Pollys of the world who one day want to pursue this industry because it's hard. It's really hard. And, you know, often you feel like, why am I even, you know, trying? Why am I even in this space? Like, I don't belong here. Like all these like, you know, questions and self-doubt and all those feelings arise. And if you don't have a community to, you know, talk it through, if you don't have that support system, it can be very hard navigating this industry. And so I think all of us are just trying to provide that support.